Hi musicians. So today we're going to talk about how to write or handwrite music. With today's technology, and computers and computer, music writing softwares for computers, it's kind of a lost art, and it's kind of like handwriting. Handwriting has gotten worse and worse and worse over the years from people because we don't practice it. But I think the practice of handwriting music is very, very important. There's something about that creative process where you're actually doing it by hand. It's kind of like woodworkers. You can set up a whole shop where it's all automated and all the stuff comes flying out. It's fine. But there's something really satisfying about handwriting something, or actually doing the woodworking by hands, and it's becoming a lost craft. So there's just a couple things. First of all, you got to practice it, just like you would your handwriting. You got to practice doing this. But I'm going to show you how to do just kind of the basics as far as what to draw. And when I was, in college, everything was handwritten. All my assignments were handwritten. All my composition assignments, all my theory assignments, all my, harmonic dictation assignments. Everything was handwritten. So I didn't have a computer to be able to do that. So just a couple things. We'll start with the clefs, all right? So the treble clef, we've talked about this before. The treble clef is a G clef, all right? And best way to do this is to start slightly above the line, draw a straight line down till it's slightly below the line, okay? Then we're going to make a little D that goes right through the D, and then we're going to circle the G, okay? So you notice it looks like a treble clef. Now I had a professor who could do this all in one thing, and he was so good. He just put a treble clef there. It looked perfect every time, but he probably practiced that for years and years and years. And you can put a little ball here or something like that. Okay, so that's your treble clef. The bass clef, the F clef. Okay, the F clef, slightly different. Where you're going to start here, and you're going to just almost like making half a heart. I mean, some people make it circled, and you can see different ways of doing it. Then you got to put the two dots over the F, okay? The alto clef or the tenor clef, the C clef, a quick way of doing this is you just put two straight lines, especially if you're going to do it in the alto clef, straight there, and then you're going to, so that this middle C here is connected. Now to do it in the tenor clef, you're just going to go slightly above that, okay? Like that. So and there's my alto and my tenor clef, okay? Time signatures. If you were to think of it as a fraction, okay, this middle line right here is going to be the line between the two numbers. It's not a fraction. Remember, it's not a fraction. Okay, so if I'm going to do 4, 4, I'm going to put the first number there and the second number there, with that right there. And you notice I'm not going above or below the line in almost all these. The treble clef and the tenor clef do go slightly above and below, but everything else is right there. And to do a bar line, okay, this is most important. To draw a bar line, you think, well, it's just really simple, right? It's just a straight line. Yes, but I see so many musicians do that, and that's not a bar line. It's got to stop and start, okay, in between there, okay, and it's got to go from the top to there, and you got to, practice doing that. All right, so that's the basis of those things. Now, key signatures. Okay, I'm slightly off camera, but you can see this key signatures. Let's just say I'm going to be doing my treble clef key signatures here, okay. They're going to look like little B's, except it's slightly like that, all right? And again, I'm going to put them exactly in the spaces I want to be. So there's my flats, my sharp. The sharp goes through wherever it's going to be, okay? So there's my F sharp and C sharp, okay? Make sense? Now, writing notes themselves. This is where people get the most confused. This middle line or this space, so in the treble clef, the B line or the C space is kind of what we call that demarcation, where if anything is above this, the stems go down. If anything's below it, the stems go up. So if I'm going to write a C quarter note, now you notice that my C is a little square ball, but it's slightly tilted up. Okay, it's not perfectly this way. There's a slight tilt to it. Okay, so I'm going to put it right there in the center. And then if I can either put it down or I can put it up. Now you notice that the line, if it goes down, is on the left-hand side. If it goes up, it's on the right-hand side. And it's actually wherever the tilt is. You notice that it's slightly tilted. So tilt it down, tilt it up. Okay? So the same thing if it was a half note. If I'm going to put a half note down here, it's going to go up. I'm going to put a half note up there, That was a great straight line, but it's going to go straight down, all right? And how long should these be? At least 2, maybe 2.5. Okay, I'm offended by that. Okay, 2.5, like that, okay? I see a lot of people who will write their little, lines like this, and it's like, well, yeah, I can read that, but that looks terrible, okay? And it is a lot about the looks, as a musician, as a professional musician, I want to be able to read this, and a lot of times I'm asked to sight read it, even on concerts. I've done that before, and it's very important that I can read the music. Okay, now there's some other things, like if you add a dot, it's going to be slightly up there. You got to make sure that's different than the staccato. All right, you see that? Articulations. If it's a lower note, you're going to put it below the note here. If it's an upper note, you're going to put it above there. Whatever the articulation is, okay? So that's a very basic part of how to write music, and those of you who are doing some of the composition exercises, just understand that, making it look nice is very, very important, okay? Especially if you want to give it to somebody and say, hey, play my music, and they're going, well, what is this note, making sure that if I'm on the line, let's say I'm going to write a D right here, I need to make sure that that the line bisects my note exactly, okay? And it's not, ambiguous where I put it kind of like there. Was that a D or is that an E? You can even tell. It's really hard to tell, right? So you got to practice it, right? So I encourage you to download some of the free music paper, staff paper, and practice writing this. Make 10 good treble clefs, make 10 good bass clefs, make them good. Okay, you really got to practice. You almost have to draw them like an artist. Same thing with the alto and the tenor and the time signatures and the bar lines. Practice these things. It really doesn't take a lot, but it takes a little bit of work. Okay? Anyway, hopefully this will help you for those of you doing the composition assignments, and if you have to do it by hand. So when you upload it to me, you're going to make them look beautiful. That's the most important. Okay, make it beautiful. Make it something that you're proud of. All right, let's keep making music.